The Beef and Barnzy Show, brought to you by BowlersMart.com, trusted by bowlers around the world since 2004. By Lightning Strikes Bowl, home of Bowlers Mart Pro Shop. By Platinum Ford, drive the difference. By Fire Lake Bowling Center, 24 state-of-the-art lanes. By True Grit Coatings, drive on our passion. By Road to Grip, king of them all. By 900 Global, striking worldwide.
Morning, guys. You've just got me again. So, hello. Welcome to the show. Today, we're going to have a bit of a chat about creating arsenals and how I go about it for nationals. I'm a little less scientific, I think, about it than Chris. Chris very much has his tried and tested method of doing it. I somewhat do that, but mine's a little bit more based on emotional needs from the bowling balls, in that, you know, when you're putting down multiple thousands in brackets, I find it hard to take a ball that I don't have good vibes with. Whereas Chris just takes the ones that fit the gaps and goes from there. So, Nico, of course, nice to see you. Adam, hello again. Welcome back. What's going on, Pat? Just going to watch the NFL draft tonight. Excited for that. Like the draft. Feel like it almost should be a national holiday. Yes, more than likely we are talking about the DNA coil going. Hey, Danny. What's going on, Aggie? Eli, nice to see you. Roddy says, bring a ball that rolls good. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Well, yeah. Gabriel, nice to see you. Ron, what's going on, bro? Amber, hello. How we doing? Nevin, nice to see you. So, I go in May. Pretty much every year we go in May. So that for me gives me at least an idea over which pattern is going to be more difficult. Generally, in the last few years, whichever pattern seems to play shorter seems to be the one that's caused the most trouble. Eli, I really wish there was some way to find out when the tour players would be coming into town to bowl. Nationals would be super cool to meet all of them. It depends. You can actually have a look. If the guys have ever done any good at nationals, they have stars of the day on the website, so you can get to see a few of them in that way. But guys like me in the past who kind of went underneath the radar, because I'd never bowled 300, never really done anything at nationals. We wouldn't show up on that, but a bunch of the guys have, so you would see it. When am I going? I believe I'm bowling 9th and 10th. Yeah, 9th and 10th is when I'm bowling. Hey, Michael, thank you. Yeah, it was a good last couple of events for sure. Two top 16s, so that was good. He's doing okay. Yeah. He's getting his shit together to get up north. Off to Detroit. Hey, Troy, what's going on? Roger, here we go. Morning. Bringing to Baton Rouge, Iron Max, Supernova, Coil, Primal Shock, and Original Zen. Any gaps to fill here and forgot the Road Warrior. Okay, so you got Iron Max, Supernova, DNA Coil, Primal Shock, Zen, and no, not really. I mean, maybe a smoother, weaker ball. Something like an IQ Tour or a something in that range. Could be Ion Pro, could be Effector, even though that isn't necessarily super weak, but something that isn't the Max or the Supernova, but is a little smoother. If you look, if you're not going to use the Iron Max or the Supernova on the Fresh, I think you might run yourself into some trouble, because the other balls are they change direction a decent amount. So for me, the glaring weakness would be that you don't have that sort of like medium control ball, to use Chris's language. Yeah. Glenn, thanks. Appreciate you. Always looking forward to the Arsenal videos. So, right now, let's think this through. From my point of view, when I look at the patterns for nationals, it's always like one of the patterns kind of plays kind of medium, short, and flat, and that pattern is all about trying to create a little bit of hold, not getting too far left too quickly, and then kind of taking advantage of it once you've stretched the pattern a little bit. So last year, that was the team event. 2 years ago, in Reno, that was singles and doubles. Singles and doubles was a bitch. It was really difficult in Reno. Team last year was fairly difficult on the Fresh, but once the pattern kind of stretched, it wasn't that bad. From what I've been looking at the videos and stuff this year, and from a little bit of the feedback I've got from a few of the guys, it feels like team event is the same sort of thing. I mean, the volume might be different, distance, but in general, the shorter, flatter pattern is the team event. Kind of that sort of fake long pattern, as I would call it, because it's kind of longer, but you kind of have to play to the right, which was kind of what they used last year. I tried to find the distances, but like struggled a little bit trying to find the patterns, the actual patterns. But I think 38 or 39 for the team event last year. I think it was 44, but it may well have been 42. I'm not 100% sure. But basically, it feels like singles and doubles. You can use urethane, kind of use reactive if you've got a little bit of more forward roll, play to the right, kind of break them down, and then just chase it in a little bit. Whereas team event is going to be kind of try and stretch the pattern a little bit using urethane, maybe even throwing some plastic in practice. And then probably you're going to be a little further left, I would think, than you are in singles and doubles to start with. Probably a bit more speed. And then go from there. And then kind of as the pattern breaks down, I think the options will become fairly obvious to get into something a little cleaner, probably a shiny ball, and go from there. So, with that being said, in my experience, for me personally, I've never really needed a super strong ball at nationals. So usually I would be taking like an Ion Max or a Hyperdrive or something, but I think I'll probably end up just taking the XL as my sort of top of the bag ball. So let's like create a banner. And like so XL. So we got the XL, and then from that, I mean, I'm definitely gonna have a spare ball. And I'm almost certainly going to take a pitch black. Now, bearing in mind, for me, I will when I'm building the Arsenal, I am driving to nationals this year, so I'm definitely going to take 8 balls. 8's kind of the maximum that you're really allowed to have. You can obviously switch balls out for each event, but I feel like if I take 8, I've got most of the, spots covered. Probably not going to use the pitch black in singles and doubles. 6 games on the same pair. I think that using urethane, unless that's something that you really feel like you get a huge advantage from, causes you more trouble than it's worth when breaking the lanes down. So anyway, let's edit this a little bit. So with the XL, right now I really like the Equinox. And of course, I did all the damage last year with the DNA coil. So the DNA coil's going for sure. So so that's where we're at right now. I don't vape, so I'm not going to need to. I don't smoke. I don't really drink. Kind of boring. Yeah. So I find that in general, they don't change the pattern massively. It might play a little differently because they have like slightly different loads or speeds with the machine, or the natural variation of bowling in South Point or Reno, or now in the build out in Baton Rouge. Yeah, I feel like in general, Nick doesn't really vary massively on this. Like when he finds like a solution that's kind of giving them the scores they want, and the divisions are getting balanced kind of how they want, because I think that that's a big thing for nationals. They don't want the divisions to get too lopsided. So I think that if you find that the scores are a little easier for a few years, I think you kind of have like that 1 year where they're a little more difficult to kind of balance back out. Now they might not do that, but that's how it feels anyway. I didn't need that one. There we go. Hey Craig. So I'm not absolutely 100% sure on a few of these balls. But you got Mindset, Rattler NU, Rattler Pearl. I guess you like that Rattler. And then you've got the Hater, and Attention S2. Anything I should take out or add? No, I think you've got some decent options there. Like I say, I'm not 100% sure on what the Rattler and the Rattler Pearl and Hater really do off each other. I saw the Rattler for a while, but people haven't really been using that one recently. So I guess you take in the Rattler NU as the kind of urethane-like option. So yeah, I mean, I'd love to say that I know exactly what to do with that, but not 100% sure. For team, I was told throwing a pin down IQ tour from like 8 to 6 on the fresh. Thoughts? I mean, it all depends on your rev rate and stuff. For me, a pin down IQ tour would be pretty weak. It wouldn't flare very much. So I'd find that one a little difficult to control, but I kind of understand what they really mean. I mean, kind of sounds like it's got a chance. That sort of like IQ tour in that sort of range of on the lane. 8 to 6 is pretty straight though. I would think that for most people that's going to be a little difficult to achieve. I believe that they're using Brunswick lanes, so they were new. Yeah. Yeah, I used it in the last game of doubles and then in all of singles last year. We broke the lane down pretty well around 12 for me, and then I kind of just moved left, kind of playing fairly straight through the fronts, like probably like 15 to 8, 15 to 10. Really not hooking it a great deal, but like rolling it. Yeah, that it gave me a good combination off of the absolute power. Dan Higgins, Mr. USBC Open Championship, says the IQ always goes. Yeah, I know a lot of people who like that ball. Definitely something that's better when there's a little more friction, for sure. So Right now, I've got huge gaps in my arsenal, so need to fill that out a little bit. Let's see. Nope, that's not how I'm going to do it. Banners. Let's edit this. So I kind of like the idea of taking an Ion Pro. I think that that ball gives me something a little bit different. I think I like the idea of the Hustle X-Ray as well. So that gives me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's kind of where we're at right now. So we might change this up a little bit, but this is what I'm thinking right now. On the fresh, so for singles and doubles, I'm probably going to do something along the lines of XL into DNA coil, and then maybe the Equinox if I need to hook it a little more. That's kind of where I'm thinking. On the team pattern, thinking Pitch Black or the Ion Pro to start, maybe even Hustle X-Ray, but one of those kind of like Pitch Black or the kind of more medium, weaker balls. And then from that, I'm probably going to look at, probably going to look at something like Pitch Black straight into either the coil or the Equinox. It's kind of what I'm thinking. Dombrowski's suggesting Tropical Surge. I think Hustle X-Ray is as weak as I'm going to go there, dude. James says Absolute Power looked really good in the track. Yeah, I've kind of like transitioned a little bit into XLs now for that gap. That's not to say I won't change my mind before then, but like, and also with driving, I might cheat and take the Absolute Power as well. And then for like singles and doubles, like dump off like the Hustle X-Ray or something and have, Absolute Power and the XL. That's a possibility. I don't necessarily love doing that, to be honest. I kind of like just limiting my options because you get so little practice. It makes it a little bit difficult. Yeah, Magno did bowl well again. Yeah, I finished just behind him in all events. PJ saying the Crossroad. Yeah, the Crossroads was the titties. Man, I wish we had a version of the Crossroad right now. That ball was fucking sweet. Hey Daniel. Well, it depends. If we're going to use urethane, probably a decent amount of surface. But otherwise, if you're going to use kind of the reactive balls, for me, probably like, I don't know, probably like 1,000 maybe on like IQ Tour or Ion Pro. Something that's like enough to kind of smooth the ball out and give you a consistent front to back, while not like having something that's going to like, be too angular. Yeah, that's kind of where I see it a little bit. Someone says, Stu, just curious, how do you determine where you're going to start? Is it one of the toughest things? It's one of the toughest things I struggle with. Yeah, it can be. I mean, for me, it's kind of based on experience of bowling at the Open Championships, and the group that you bowl with. I always think that it's kind of nice if you can get into the Open Championships at least the day before. Kind of watch some of the videos as well. You kind of get an idea of what they're bowling on based on just experience of like, you see the guy and his rev rate and they're already at like 17 or 18, you kind of know there's a decent amount of friction if the guy doesn't have a super high rev rate. If you end up watching the video and they're showing one of the pros and they're bowling on the singles and doubles and they shoot 300 like game 5 of singles or whatever, and they're bowling like 14, you kind of know that the pattern has a decent amount of oil, and like you're going to want to use straighter angles, because if the pro hasn't really got all the way over to fifth arrow by game 5, then you kind of know that you've been able to play kind of straighter. Yeah. How many years is it for you at OC? Like 7 or 8, I think. Yeah, 7 or 8. And then for doubles and singles, like I feel like in team, I want to use as much surface as I can use, because I feel like you're going to want to smooth out the back part of the lane. In team. In doubles and singles, it's almost the opposite for me. I almost want to use as little surface as I can to play to the right. Like after because in practice you're going to try and create a little bit of a spot, but I don't think it makes that much sense to use a lot of surface in singles and doubles, just because you've got a bowl on the pair for 6 games. So you don't want to end up making the lanes too cliffed. And I feel like with the modern balls, they take, God, how old do I sound? But I feel like you don't necessarily need a lot of surface to still have the ball take oil off the lane. Yeah, that's kind of how I look at it. Like on the team event, I feel like even though you're trying to create, you really want to create some carry down in the practice. I feel like with the pattern being, what looks to be somewhere around that 39 feet, 38 feet type of range, I feel like you're going to want to have something that you can kind of throw a little bit harder. So having a little more surface, I think, allows you to have that front to back miss a little bit. And with only bowling 3 games, I'm going to try to use more surface in singles and in team and less surface in singles and doubles. I think it's always better the devil you know. So for me, assuming all things are equal, like all the racks are just as good or whatever, I'd prefer to just bowl the 6 games on the one pair, and then you ruin your own events. You don't have somebody else ruin it for you. Do you think bigger balls are needed this year? Like, this is the ultimate, it depends. For me, probably not. I'll probably have one in the car, just depending on when I get down there, because I always feel like if you can watch it yourself, you get a better idea than just watching it on video. But yeah, I probably don't see that. Like, for me, I just feel like the lanes change too quickly if you use a really big ball, and yeah, it's not necessarily the option. Not for me. It hasn't been one that I've loved, to be honest. And there you go. As a speed dominant lefty, I always need stronger balls. Yeah. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's why Arsenal building, for me, is all about complementing your skill set. So I feel like, based on experience, I'm going to have more balls in like a closer together, because I feel like I have a pretty good idea of how the lanes are going to play. And if I'm being honest, I'm kind of going home run hunting. I'm not really going there to bowl okay, if that kind of makes sense. It'd be so much easier if you knew the patterns in advance. You kind of do, though. Like, you kind of do, because Nick doesn't massively change everything around. Like I say, usually there's one pattern that's kind of shorter and flatter, and there's kind of one pattern that's a little longer and a little softer. Like, you kind of know what you're going to get. It's not like he's oiling like, you know, 47 feet on one and 32 on the other. Like, I go back and forth. Like, I think it's a bad idea that they don't release the patterns, because I think that it's one of the few times that people would get out and go and practice because they felt like, oh, I'm going to nationals, I need to go and practice. And they felt like they were getting something from practicing on the pattern. Like, they weren't, but they felt that way, if that makes sense. Because everywhere you go, the lane pattern is going to play differently. So USBC's argument is, you didn't learn anything anyway, and some of the guys might learn something because they might have a similar setup, right? And then the argument is, well, if it doesn't make any difference, why'd you care? I lean on the fact that transparency wise, it's just easier to let everybody know what the pattern is. But I really don't think it makes that much difference for this event. It's like the US Open when they don't tell us. We kind of know. We kind of know what we're going to bowl on. For the first for the first three patterns, you kind of have a pretty good idea just on history. I literally never bowl a bowler's journal. It's always a urethane fest. Somebody always manages to shoot 845 with one of the, carnival urethanes, whether that be a pitch black or a purple hammer. It's just not my thing. So I have done in the past and I didn't find it in any way helpful. So I just don't. Yeah, I just don't see the point in it. A lot of the time it's a different bowling center, or when it's in the same bowling center, it's like at one end, like in Reno, it's at the low end. Like, I just don't, I don't find it that useful, to be honest. I think I actually did bowl it in Reno last time because they were so hard. I kind of wanted to just get an idea of how I was going to try and attack it. But I just, overall, I just don't think it works out that well. I haven't bowled a BTM in forever because I might bowl it this year because I have a car. But the problem is, I just find these tournaments to end up being like, I think I did okay at the BTM financially, but I just find like the Bowler's Journal is so expensive for what it is. And yeah, you might end up, you might end up having one really bumper set, but it's like, it's always somebody, like the last 10 years, it's like, it feels like it's always somebody winning with a urethane ball. And I don't go with a group of guys who I can necessarily, all the people in my group I can bowl with. Once you have a title, those events become a lot harder to find people to bowl with. So yeah, it's a little difficult. Yeah. That's so Chris is actually watching, so he is commenting. Is the IQ AI better 2,000, 3,000 or the box specifically for a two-hander? So Chris says he's at like 3,000, which I don't even know how we measure that now, but yeah. Yeah, that's a pretty big number, right? Yeah. So that's kind of why I'm like a little bit against it. Last year, team was 39, singles and doubles was 42. Yeah, I mean, makes sense. I bowl the 8th and 9th or 9th and 10th of May. Yep, over the years, all the patterns have been 38 to 42, 43 foot pattern in 2014. Yeah. And like the long one always seems to be like that 42 foot one or whatever always feels like it's better to play like 5 than 15th. 5 than 15th. 5 than 15. Thanks for the info, Barnzy 1.0. Yeah. Anything out there close to the High Road Nano? No, not really. Yeah, no. No, Tina's actually going the same time as me this year. She's joined our group this year. So that'll be fun. Us both getting announced. We can be celebrities of the day together. No. Yeah, no. When you put that much money up, that you end up putting up for nationals, you're not really going. It's not really a fun time. Like just in general. I don't bowl with a group of guys who are like tour players or anything though. Like AJ Chapman's in our overall group, but of course I can't bowl with him. I actually picked this group up from Iowa in the Storm staff group. I didn't know any of the guys before I went, so it's been a fun ride bowling with them. But yeah. Okay, Dusty, sounds good. Make sure you say hi. Billy recently switched two-handed. Seems like it's a popular choice. Looking to replace Storm Promotion and Storm Drive 15-7. Perhaps 6.5. Looking for newer pieces for the bag. Well, if you're looking to replace the Promotion, there's quite a few shops I think that still have that limited edition Sunstorm they made. That's going to be the only ball that's going to make any sense for the Promotion because that's got that spec cover on it. So yeah, the Promotion is going to be that, and then the Storm Drive. I don't even 100% remember the numbers on that. Let's have a look. Storm Drive. What was it? Oh, it was really high RG. Okay. Yeah, I don't know that we have a ball with that higher RG right now. Yeah. Yeah, that's a super strong cover high RG ball. We don't really necessarily have one of those right now. There you go. Eli says they have a lot of them at nationals and they are discounted. He's talking about the Sunstorms. Yeah. I got burnt on the Sunstorm. I thought it was yeah. It held a sweet place in my heart, and I've actually got one that's not drilled kicking around in my office somewhere. But yeah. Here he is, the man, the myth, the legend. Hey, nice bowling again. What balls did you use, Derek? Share the wealth. It ain't that popular. I'm not switching. I can't swing past my stomach with my left arm. What chance do I have? Yeah. I'll be going this weekend. My 6-ball choices are Iron Max, Iron Pro, Rockstar, and IQAI, all pin up and a pin down Equinox and a Max. Yeah, I mean, I think that you've got pretty decent variety there. Especially if you have slightly higher speed. Yeah, that would be like I say, the only thing I think a few guys are missing, like a Rockstar, is still a pretty strong ball. So on the fresh, if you don't have like that higher speed, that might be a little bit of a trouble. But I guess you got Iron Pro in there as well. Yeah, no, in hindsight, I think that's pretty good options. Should give you some different things to do. Ha 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 ha. Right. All right. So we've got these 8. Let's see what else should I add into this? Let me bring up the Storm website because I feel like there are a few options of things that I feel like I'm like kind of forgetting about. Oh God, where are we? Products balls. Let's share this screen. Presets. Share screen. Okay. So let's get this up. All right. So let's have a little scroll down. We're having a look at balls. Come on, Storm. There we go. So identity is one that I've kind of liked. I don't 100% know if that makes a lot of sense with the balls I've got right now in that smaller arsenal, but that's a thought. Like scrolling. Attention Star is another one that's got a chance for me. I've started to like that one a little bit more. And then Origin and Zen 25 are a couple of others. So let's kind of like game plan this. So we've got the XL, DNA Coil, Equinox, Ion Pro, Hustle X-Ray. So I definitely need a quicker medium ball. So looking at that, I think that becomes possibly Zen 25, possibly Road Warrior. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's going to be Typhoon is another option. Actually, I think we're going to go Typhoon. Yeah, I think Typhoon makes the most sense in that gap. Although Derek says Attention Star S2 and Zen 25 in team, Origin and Physics Blackout for singles and doubles. Origin's another interesting choice. I just feel like I would have to leave out the DNA Coil to take the Origin. I just don't know I'm prepared to do that. Yeah, I'm not sure I'm there yet. But he Zen 25. Yeah. Chris, that wasn't necessarily helpful. Think about your choices that you just made that I just deleted. Yeah. Some of those aren't necessarily available yet. Well, I couldn't beat you last year, Derek, so I don't know it's going to go as well as it did last year for me. So, thanks for stopping by. Right. Let's change this up, and I think I'm going to add Typhoon. Right. So I think that's where we're at. I think that's where I'm at now. I think we can stop sharing this screen. So XL, and then it'll be DNA Coil, Equinox, Ion Pro, Hustle X-Ray, the Typhoon, and then Pitch Black and my spare ball. They're probably the 8 that make the most sense for me right now. Yeah. Chris says there is that. Yes. There's always more balls being released. Yeah, there's always more balls being released. Oh, I think it'd be a phone call. I don't think it'd be a message. But yes. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I'm struggling a little bit. I'm struggling a little bit with the Rockstar, to be honest, Patrick. I really want to like it. I just feel like when I drilled it a little weaker, I felt like I can't make it hook consistently. And when I drill it stronger, I feel like it hooks miles, and I want something kind of in between. And I'm only moving the pin like half an inch, and it's making a huge difference. So yeah, so far the jury's still out on that one. I probably need to figure out a couple more of them to mess around with. Yeah, I mean, I think it's just the business model for each brand. I think, Storm and Rotogrip sell more units just overall. So I think that Global tries to concentrate on having, 4 or 5 like um, products a year that they can really market and like try and get behind. Chris says that he likes the idea of the Hyperdrive Origin Rockstar Zen 25 Virtual Energy Blackout and the IQ AI. So yeah, that's definitely a more spaced arsenal than I like. I think Chris is kind of covering more of the bases like we spoke about, whereas I'm like trying to hone in on like not having to fuck around in between frames. Like once the ball starts to go, I want to be like, all right, the XL is getting a little lazy. I'm going to go straight into DNA coil. Okay, that's really not coming off it. That's not really not coming off it enough. Okay, straight to the Equinox. Like I kind of want the balls a little closer together. I'm not sure that Chris would carry Equinox and DNA coil at the same time. I think he might feel like they were a little too close. Same thing with like the XL. I think he'd rather have something that was a little bit more spaced from the the XL. He would, like I say, he'd have hyperdrive, and then he'd have a bigger gap down to the next one. Me, I kind of want to have them really stacked pretty close so I can just like make the moves quicker. I think with nationals, I'm less worried about getting there and not having a good reaction, because like shooting 2000 at nationals is nearly pointless. You want to be shooting like 2150 or 1900. Like who cares? If you have if you have any sort of decent reaction, you want to be able to maximize that reaction. So yeah. AI uproar incoming, not that I've heard of. Same with the Crossroad. I doubt the Crossroad would be one. I think there were as many guys who absolutely hated that ball as loved it. Chris says is definitely how I lean to cover what we're with wide gaps, but your point to hitting triples and home runs is valid. Yeah, like I say, I think if I'm going abroad to a tournament where I have like pretty high expenses and like everything else, I and it's a longer format, I'm kind of like, I kind of totally agree with you, like having the balls spread out so I cover everything. But I feel like with nationals, I have a pretty good idea of what's going to happen. I have a group of players who probably aren't going to mess the lanes up very much for me. Like I'm probably going to be the person doing the most damage to the lane. So it's kind of like you say, you just really go in there to, home run derby, so to speak, rather than like, trying to nickel and dime your way to making a couple of bucks. Like I can drive to nationals, like, team event. I'm probably going to want to have more of the bases covered. Because, bowling 550 in team kind of sucks when you put, 2,500 down in brackets or whatever. But like for singles and doubles, you're really looking for those home run hits. So yeah. Anybody else have any more questions? I really like the Equinox. I'm a little bit meh on the IQAI. For me, I just feel like that IQ Tour AI is just like, it's just not a ball that I use that often. Like, for as clean as it is, or like, clean's the wrong word. I feel like it picks up quite early for how weak the ball is. So for me, it almost picks up as early as my Equinox, it feels like, but it doesn't shape as much. So then I find myself making it hook. And then once I would want to use it, it's a little too strong. I think is the best way of putting it, like for me. I've seen a few guys do pretty well with it. Like Dombrowski's done pretty well with it. I've seen Chris use it a bit, and it's looked pretty good for him. Yeah. Hey Kenny, good seeing you at the TOC last week. Right. Eli, you're thinking about Alpha Crux, Attention Star, Identity, Rockstar, Phase AI, or Typhoon. Maybe Hustle Rip with Surface, Urethane, Spare Ball. So I think Phase AI or Typhoon is a strange one because the Typhoon is so much weaker than the Phase AI. For me, it would be Phase AI or a Zen 25. I don't necessarily think you need Typhoon and Hustle Rip. So that's the first thing. Alpha Crux feels like it might be a little weak to be the strongest ball. But overall, yeah, I mean, I don't mind your choices. I think it's kind of on the same lines as what I'm thinking. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, I feel like, yeah, I don't mind it. I feel like maybe Rockstar, depending on your rev rate, might be a little strong to be the medium ball, but I guess phase 2 would be somewhat the same. So yeah, no, I think they're good options. Like, my only concern a little bit would be the Alpha Crux being the strongest ball. I don't necessarily know that ball's that strong now. I almost feel like you could go something a little stronger here, like Hyperdrive, and then get rid of the Rockstar for the Alpha Crux. But I mean, that's just me. That would be more where I would see those balls fitting together. But yeah, not a bad collection. I think that shows some decent promise. Optimum Idol. Yeah, especially if it had a little bit, especially if it wasn't super dull. I think that would be good. Yeah, I mean, like, you can add a little surface to it. To me, I kind of like it. I feel like I don't think it's super angular. I think it's like fairly continuous. So for me, I feel like I can play pretty big angles with the Equinox because it continues. It doesn't kind of hook and then stop. So I don't know. I haven't seen it be super uncontrollable on the back. Yeah, overall it's been pretty good for me. Quite rounded. Well, I'm surprised. I always underestimate how much shit I can talk because we've got to 48 minutes and I barely feel like I've taken a breath. So, the hype says, "What's your wish list this summer for balls this summer at Bowl Expo?" I think I wouldn't mind a urethane with a slightly weaker core. Probably not going to be a huge seller, but like the IQ AI, the IQ 78, sorry, IQ 78U. God, there's so many letters in balls now. But the IQ 78U for me flares quite a lot, so maybe something like that. I would always be in for a hypercell type replacement, but I don't imagine that's coming with us having the hyperdrive in that gap. What else do I feel like? I think Typhoon has been a pretty decent addition. XL Pearl, yeah, That could be a good option. If they do the XL pearl, I want them to go old school though. I want it to be the same color, just pearl. Like I want them to go that way. Like now, who knows what I get? They ain't gonna release a Crossroad, Nico. They're just not. Like, oh god, I can't think of anything I want less than an exotic gem. That one wasn't one of my favorites. Stormside. I'd like to see another like. I'd like to see a gravity core ball. Yeah, I'd like to see a gravity core ball. Iron urethane, yeah, maybe. I'm pretty sure we won't be seeing that. With us having the level out as well as the 78U and the pitch black, but you know, if we're talking perfect world. I think that they always seem to have well, they had the virtual energy blackout. So AI pitch black. Hey Todd, thanks for the super chat. He said, "Wife, low end, high track has electrify pearl and tropical surge. Doesn't like playing left. Is mixed good option for her when the surge hooks too much?" I mean, yeah. I mean, you're probably not going to like the price, but a level with a bit of polish might not be a bad option either. It is fairly expensive for what it's going to create, but yeah, a shiny level wouldn't be bad. And then if you end up having to get into a mix, you have to get into a mix. Yeah. Yeah. Nick, where are we at? I don't know what you're talking about, Nick. Did you post an Arsenal? I didn't see it. I don't understand. Hey, John. Nobody. I don't know. Like I say, I don't pay much attention to it, so yeah, I don't know. Yeah, not something I've been working on, not something I've been worried about either. I think sometimes when you're a little more comfortable, like your arms maybe a little looser, but definitely not something I've been really working on. So yeah. Another ball with NEX since Storm finally remembered that they have that cover, but that won't happen anytime soon with the hyperdrive being out. Yeah, I mean, well, we had the physics blackout. That's NEX, right? So yeah. Sorry, John. Didn't really did somebody actually said it the other day, and I was just like, oh. It's at Mel's on a Tuesday. Hey Nick, you're looking at Reality X1, Origin, Rockstar, Optimum Idol, IQAI, Zen, and Nice. Yeah, not bad. Yeah, I think that covers a lot of bases. Yeah, I mean, I feel like you might end up with the Rockstar and the Optimum Idol having two balls that are a little close. So make sure you kind of separate them surface wise, probably having a bit more surface on the Rockstar, maybe even a little bit of polish on the Optimum Idol to kind of separate them a little bit more. I know it's it discontinued now, but I'm living off the discount right. You seem to really like the Sublime when it was released. What are your thoughts on it now, post-modern? See, Sublime is one of those balls that if I didn't bowl on tour, I would still have it in my bag. it needs oil in the front. But when it has oil in the front, I think it's awesome. Kind of a really rounded motion. The problem was when we had it on tour, it felt like it picked up too soon and then got like kind of lazy down the lane. And there was just, we would use a stronger ball, you know, to have something that would pick up that early. You still needed something that would dig in. So on house shots and stuff, it kind of blended the dry really well. And because there's enough oil in the front on the house shot, it kind of didn't burn up early on. So yeah, I think if you're gonna kind of avoid PBA patterns, I think the Sublime is a pretty good option. Definitely needs more oil in the earlier part of the lane to less down the lane, that kind of ratio. If it's a little more tapered, I think that ball's really good still. But once we couldn't use it on tour, I kind of just, yeah, it kind of just disappeared out of, because basically all that happens is I drill a bunch of balls when I'm on tour, and then when I come back, I mainly just use those for a bunch of the year, because like for me, I don't really need to use different layouts. I just see different shapes out of them when I'm at home, and I kind of just adapt to that. So yeah, the Sublime might be better than some of the things I have in my arsenal right now, but because they were the ones that I used for the last sort of 3 months, that's kind of how it's got. Yeah, Summit Ascent's an interesting one with that having like that kind of R2S type cover on it. Yeah, I feel like Summit Ascent is either great or shit, and there's no in between. Like Summit Ascent isn't like an okay ball. Like it's either awesome or it's just bad, and that's kind of the deal. But all right, guys, I'm probably going to get going. Thank you for being part of the show. Sorry we didn't end up doing the giveaway. I thought Chris might have been with us today, and it's quite a lot to keep up with all of the people chatting, and trying to keep up with the super chats and everything else. So, what is your favorite house shot ball? It really varies. Like, Belmo's Identity seems pretty good right now. Like, I don't necessarily have one specific one because we ball in a bunch of different places. Generally the newest ball I've got, because I think you get those extra couple of hits out of the very newest balls, and when you hit in the pocket, like, you know, 33 times out of 36, making sure you kind of strike in a really high percentage of those is kind of useful. But yes. Yeah, that is the plan. Yeah. I'm hoping that I'm going to get to have a chat with him on Tuesday, breaking down the PBA league. We actually didn't get to that today. I'll be here on Tuesday. We'll, like I say, we'll break down PBA league. Who do you guys think is going to win? Real quick. Hopefully Rotogrip can make some noise, make me a couple of extra bucks, moving up that ladder. But yeah, everybody enjoy your Thursday. NFL draft tonight, so that's a bit of fun. And yeah, if you get a chance to buy a bowling ball, please consider one of the SPI balls. They are Storm, Rotogrip, 900 Global. If you're looking for shirts, check out Coolwick. And if you want to buy any of this stuff and you don't want to buy it from a pro shop, Bowlers Mart is the place to go. Big online retailer. And then our friends over at Fire Lake Bowling Center, Lightning Strikes. And if you're in the Dallas, Fort Worth area and you're looking for a new car, take your USBC card and go and try out a Ford over at Platinum Ford, and you will be able to get a bowling ball. That's right. They have Storm bowling balls to give away to guys who take test drives of Ford vehicles. So thanks for watching. I appreciate all of you guys, and I will see you next week. Come on, New England. Don't fuck this draft up. All right. I'll see you later. Take care. Bye-bye now.